Hello, foodie friends. This is going to be a really different episode because we're making a soup that is extreme budgeting edition. So we're using things that we've got in the house plus these giant bags of kitchen scraps that I've been collecting over the course of probably I'd say about a month and a half now, maybe 2 months. So let me show you what kind of scraps I've got so far. And here we go. I just pulled them out of the freezer. You can see I've got all kinds of things in here. There's some cabbage and celery, carrots, spring onions. I even put in some lemons and tomatoes. And this one has an even more variety. So we've got asparagus, onion skins. We've got some purple onions instead of like the white onions. We've got some zucchini and squash and bell pepper. And I can't even remember what all else. But we're going to use this, simmer it in our giant soup pot, and see what kind of broth we can get out of just weird vegetable scraps. Now, I saw this on TikTok. I was very intrigued. The woman on the TikTok said that she's been doing it for years this way. And according to the comments, a lot of people were too. They said it makes the best vegetable broth ever. So let's go ahead, dump this into our pot, and we're gonna see what happens. And here's what it looks like in the pot. And I also went ahead and took out from each bag that I had because I had different kinds of scraps in each bag, and I wanted the most variety I could get out. So I went ahead and combined the vegetables, from each side just so I could get more in there. And I still have this left over. So I could probably get another batch of vegetable broth out of this easy. So let's go ahead and fill this with water. We'll get this to simmering, then we will season and add in the vegetables we're actually going to eat in this pot. I've already pulled some things out of my larder to put in this soup. I may add some of these tomatoes that my mom canned. She also canned some green beans from her garden. I think I'm going to add those in there. And I have potatoes. I'm thinking either potatoes or some orzo. So I'm not really sure. This is already open, so we probably should actually use this just to kind of, use it up quicker since it is already open. But potatoes are also really good, so I don't know. I say we get to that step and then we'll see how we feel about it when we get there. And some other things that we have access to. And yes, I know this is very messy and unorganized. I swear, I think every chest freezer is just kind of a catch-all and becomes something you'll never find again once you put something in it. But I do have some okra, I've got some lima beans, and I've got some corn. And so I'm thinking about either 1, 2, or all 3 of these. I guess we'll just have to make that decision when we come to it too. I don't know how well this might taste with orzo. I think this would be better with the potatoes. I think I just settled the great orzo or potato debate because I found some cabbage that I still had in the refrigerator that I had used the other half of it for another recipe. We need to use this up. I've got some carrots and celery. So I think this, coupled with what we have in the freezer, would go way better with potatoes than it would with the orzo. So we're going to leave this for another day and make it purely vegetable. While the soup is simmering, I thought we might go into my greenhouse and check on some of my plants. Ooh, things are looking good, but we need to water a few things. It's nice and warm in the greenhouse, even though it's a little bit chilly outside, so that's good. Something is eating this. I need to figure out what that is so I can take care of it. But these are all little lettuces that I started growing from seed. You can see I've got some little baby ones here. I've got all kinds of different varieties of lettuce. One of the seed packets was even called kitchen sink greens. So there's all kinds of little things in there. Some of them haven't germinated yet, so we will actually be getting more popping up as the days get warmer. But I actually joined the Master Gardener program here in Greene County not too long ago. It's done through the University of Tennessee, and I did it so I could learn a lot more about gardening and get some tips, but also to get involved in some of the community garden projects that we have going on in Greene County. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun once everything starts growing and we can really get those gardens in. But I'm part of a seed trial for University of Tennessee, and I'm testing some seeds, and I think we already have at least one popped up, but let's go ahead and see if there's another tomato that might have popped up. Ooh, you can see we've got our one little tomato that's germinated so far. I don't see any others so far, but we will keep checking every day and hoping we see some pop through. Let's go ahead and water this a little bit. And this is exciting. Look at this. Now I've got two different kinds of oregano here because this is also part of the seed trial. And basically what they're wanting is for us to try two different varieties of something. So I've got the two different varieties of tomatoes over there. And I've got the two varieties of oregano. I also have some other seeds, but those have to be like directly sown into the garden and they're not ready yet. So I've got two different varieties, and you see which one works the best for your climate, in my case, Tennessee. But look at this. We actually have a little tiny oregano that has pushed up already. So that's really exciting. That's the Italian. So we'll need to make a note of that on our trial sheet to stay, all scientific and everything, and make sure that we document that this germinated before this one. So let's go ahead, water some plants, and we'll get back to our soup. So it has been over 30 minutes, but that's okay because the more it simmers, really the more it just deepens the flavor. You just have to make sure to at least do it for 30 minutes. You can see the color is starting to deepen. So let's go ahead. I've done a quick taste test, and it does have a really unique vibrant flavor to it, but it's time to go ahead and add some seasoning. So let's go ahead. I'm going to add some bay leaf. I think I'm going to go ahead and do Italian seasoning because we're going to add this jar of tomatoes, and I think together that would be really good. We're also going to do, of course, salt and pepper, and if we have to, I'm not thinking we're going to have to though, but these are going to be here just in case. And now soup is seasoned. I got the potatoes already diced. They're sitting in water so they don't brown. We've got our other vegetables already cut up. And best thing about this soup is we've got kitchen scraps that we can go ahead and add to our bag that we have in the freezer. So this is going to be the cycle of soup that never ends. Let's look and see what it's doing. Look how much deeper the color has gotten. It's probably been about 20 or 30 more minutes since I seasoned or added the seasoning to it. I think it's time to go ahead and strain this out. I've got a bowl ready because we will be putting this in our compost bin so that nothing goes to waste. And then we'll add all of our other veggies. And let's go get the frozen ones too. We'll add that also. Let's just grab all three. And then we'll just see how much room we have in our pot after all of this and see how much of this can we add to it. Notice the change halfway through? Let me show you, because this made way more than I anticipated. What? I had to get out my big giant soup pot and pour it from my poor little Dutch oven into here. Made a little bit of a mess on the stove, but I'm actually really happy with myself that I got it in there without spilling it all over the place. You'll notice that I left out the okra. I think this is full enough. So I'm actually going to save this for something else. Maybe fry it, maybe add it to another soup. We'll see. But I think this would just be a little bit too much. Now that means that some of that soup, probably half of it at least, is going to go to my parents so they can have a really good lunch or dinner or whatever they want to do with it. And we may still put some of it in the freezer. I don't even know. But we're going to go ahead and let that simmer until all the other vegetables I just added are nice and cooked through. And then we'll season more if we need to and go from there. We've got soup! Finally! This is a soup to make when you are going to be home all day.
Yeah, you had to leave it on there for a while.
Let's go ahead, try some of everything if we can. It is super hot too, so
yeah,
be really careful. I mean, just let that broth just savor in your mouth.
Yeah, I think that's one thing for like having to leave it on there for a while.
Yeah.
Like, it's all incorporated. It's like most vegetable soups the next day.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like,
that's after it's all melded and everything. And part of the reason it was on there for a long time, I think, is because I made so much of it without actually meaning to. And so it just took a long time for everything in the pot to there was a lot of stirring, a lot of trying to move things around in the pot. So, if you make a smaller batch, obviously, you're not going to have that much of a cook time. But I think I'm going to put this out there that this is the best pure vegetable soup I have ever made.
Yeah, I'd say that. Especially initial taste. Like, if it gets as better as most vegetable soups do the next day, tomorrow, it'll be easily hands down the best vegetable soup I've ever had, probably.
You kind of can't keep from eating it. It's one of those where you're just wanting to slurp.
Yeah.
And I didn't even put the amount of vegetables that you can, with your kitchen scraps, your mushroom stems and just anything. So this is what this tastes like. Mm-hmm. Yours is going to taste different depending on what you cook. The next time I make this, it's going to taste different. I think that's the cool thing about this soup, that it's always going to taste good, but it's going to be slightly different every time.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad I actually threw my lemons in there. After I squeezed the lemon juice out, I put the lemon, in the bag to freeze. It really kind of bursts a little bit of just clarity into the broth.
I think the slightly acidic nature of it activates your salivary glands quite a bit more, and it leaves you like your mouth watering for that next bite.
Oh my gosh, guys, this is, I'm not kidding. This is like a level of flavor that you don't get too often from an actual soup, you know? And it is so, like, what would you say, 10 times, 20 times better than a store-bought broth?
Oh, yeah. Easily better than a store broth.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, the little cartons, I will never use those again unless I have to,
super
you know?
flavor dense. Yeah.
Yes. And oh gosh, I love the fact that it is so low on food waste. Because the scraps are going to go in my compost bin.
Right.
And even if you don't have a compost bin, just think of the fact that you've used these again to flavor another meal for yourself after their first initial use.
Yeah.
So you're still getting good use out of them, even if you're not going to compost them. The vegetables that I used inside, you know, I didn't go to the store and buy anything special. These are things that was in my crisper drawer, you know, in my deep freezer. You know, that's the best thing I think about this soup is the amount of recyclability that went into this is probably one of the best I've ever seen in a recipe so far. Because using your kitchen scraps, digging around in your refrigerator and your freezer,
a lot of it was probably leftovers from meals that we'd done that made the initial like scraps that you made the broth out of.
Yeah, you know I mean, I had that head of, you know, half a head of cabbage just sitting in there. You know, I had some celery I needed to use up. I mean, this is a perfect way to use it. Some people call them dump soups. Some call them, you know, refrigerator soups.
Yeah.
But I love the extra benefit of having used up even more of your kitchen waste. Right. You know, into making something that is so much better than a store-bought broth.
Yeah.
And just, I so hope this really inspires you to start just saving all of your scraps just so you can see what this tastes like. This is a win, I think. An incredible win. And, you know, for next month, I haven't decided yet.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, so it's going to be a surprise to you guys, and it's going to be a surprise to me because I don't know what I've picked yet. So stay tuned for whatever next month is going to be, and really hope you try this soup. We'll see you next time. Bye. And if you like historical cooking and unusual cookbooks, here's 2 more videos you might enjoy. And make sure to like and subscribe for more foodie adventures.